Welcome to Office Hours by Triple X Church. I'm your host, Carl Thomas. I'm a pastor, certified neurohealth coach, and a guy who frankly struggled with a lot of the stuff we talk about here for over 20 years until I found freedom about a decade ago. In today's episode, we are going to be jumping in and answering this question. What can I do if marriage counseling is not improving our sex life? That's what I will be discussing today. So make sure you hang in there with me. Recognize that no questions are ever off the table, and I'm going to be as honest with my answers as I possibly can be, so don't get offended. Anyway, without any further delay, let's jump in. Okay, so this question came in to our Office Hours page. My wife has no sex drive left, and she hasn't had much of one during the 25 years of our marriage. I have a strong sex drive and get my pleasure in sex by pleasing her sexually. However, since she never initiates sex, I'm always trying to get it, and she says I want it all the time and commonly pushes me away. We have gone to marriage counseling several times over the years, and things get better, but not long after our marriage counseling, things go back to the way they were. What can I do when marriage counseling doesn't work? All right, so this question of sexual frequency and frustration comes up a lot, right? We've answered it in a few different the question's been asked differently, but we've answered this before in previous Office Hours episodes. I see these questions in our Live Free community at times, and it's a legit one. I mean, it comes up. But a few things here I want to tackle that I think you need to dig into, and I don't have an answer for you per se, but I do want to point you down the road to kind of finding some of your own answers. So this idea that my wife has no sex drive and I have a raging sex drive. I think sometimes a lot of that comes from this misunderstanding of what a sex drive is about. Sheila Gregoire, in her book, The Good Guy's Guide to Great Sex and also The Great Sex Rescue, both those books are great. I'd read both, or at least one of them. Since this is a guy asking it, I would read The Good Guy's Guide to Great Sex. That's a good book. That helps explain how women get basically stimulated as opposed to a man, right? It's a different process in terms of excitement and arousal and all these different things. Guys operate one way, women they function a little differently. Sometimes what we see as a woman not having a sex drive is not the case at all. It's just we aren't doing the things we need to do that are going to basically entice her into wanting to have sex. That's usually the case more often than not. The idea of marriage counseling working sometimes, but then it goes back to the same way. And is marriage counseling work? I would say if you're doing marriage counseling and then it tends to get better at times, my biggest question would be, if I was you, why does the effect wane? And it's probably, this is just a guess, but it's probably the fact that when you're in a marriage counselor's office, that marriage counselor is asking you questions and you're both answering them. And hopefully you're both being honest. And so it's easier for you to come together because you're both being vulnerable and you're both in a place where you're kind of better understanding each other, right? Outside of the counselor's office, what happens? Well, we tend to not do that. We tend to deflect. We tend to defend. We tend to attack. We tend to attack. Right? Give you an example of what I mean. In a marriage counselor's office, counselor might say, hey, when this happens, how does it make you feel? Well, it makes me feel whatever, rejected, lonely. And your wife is starting to go, oh gosh, I don't want him to feel that way. What can I do to help that situation, right? Right? You're not attacking her. You're saying, hey, I feel this way. And she's saying, oh gosh, I don't want you to feel that way. You get home, a week later, it's not, hey, you know what, when you reject me, it makes me feel this way. Usually the way it comes out is you're always rejecting me. You never want to have sex. It's very attacking, right? And so now the empathy's not there. She's not thinking, oh, geez, my poor husband. She's thinking, what? Why are you attacking me? Why are you coming at me like that? I'm going to defend myself, right? And then it spirals into an argument, right? So I forgot the exact name of the book. I should have looked it up before this, but I think it's called How to Argue Well, something like that. I read it. I had to read it as part of my counseling course when I was going through my master's program. But it's a great book. Talks about this idea of how you frame things when you're having a discussion, right? It's all about the framing. when it's not in attack mode, when you're not in attack mode, when the other person's not in defense mode, you can make a lot of progress. But when one's attacking and one's defending, there's no progress to be made at all. So I would say that's probably a big factor. That's all I got about to say on that. I would say definitely check out Sheila's book. And again, I would definitely work on how you guys process through this. But I don't think the marriage counseling isn't working. I just think the effects of it might wear off when you're outside of the counselor's office. So if you have a question you want me to answer in an upcoming office hours episode, go to xxchurch.com/office-hours and I will answer it. That's about all I got for you this week, and I'll see you soon.